new that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Oh, there I am, poking around down the bottom. Oop. And for some reason, I've got an echo. I know what that'll be. Let me end that, and I don't have an echo anymore. Hello, folks. How are you? Did I ask you about the camera last night? Is it any better kind of picture? And hello to everybody in the chat. First up tonight, I guess we should say hello. Who was first in? What a surprise. What was first in the house tonight. A little bit of news on him very shortly. The lovely Aussie Sue in the house. And as always, please give us a thumbs up, folks. Like, subscribe, share the show. A lot of people get a lot of benefit out of it, so I'm told. And our views are increasing. Interestingly, our subscriber numbers stay exactly the same. We don't lose anybody. We don't gain anybody. But give us a test. If you haven't already subscribed, give us the thumbs up, subscribe. Let's see if we can't beat this algorithm. We're being suppressed again on a number of levels. Vince and I were only talking about it again the other day. So I guess that means we must be speaking truth for the most part. That's generally what they don't like. Good evening, Rachel. Lovely to see you in the house. I hope things are going well for you and yours down south. And when I say yours, you've got a house full of dogs at the moment, 4 of them from memory. So, yeah, you and Jimmy, well working out. And it'll be a little chilly in your part of the world. So I hope you've got the flannelette going and the fire going and you're staying warm. Hi, Adi. Sunflower, lovely to see you in. I hope you and Rick are doing well. Who else is in the house tonight? The lovely Anne Penny. And Graham. Lovely to have you in the house, my friend. We must talk. Look forward to talking to you very soon, in fact. I hope very soon. Wasn't expecting to see that name. Hello, Margot. Lovely to see you and in the house. That's beautiful. Greenie is in the house. G'day, brother. I hope you are going very well. And I have your text here sitting in front of me. So Greenie has an idea for Anzac Day. Got to say I don't mind it. And I've certainly followed this since... Well, I think I was with Greenie when we did it in Melbourne some years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Here is Greenie's idea for Anzac Day. He was thinking about a catchphrase and some sort of action for Anzac Day and beyond, and it's very late notice. But if you all get a chance to have a show, would you consider this? Turn your back on politicians as they've turned their backs on you or us. So he's going to get a T-shirt made up with that on it. Speaking of T-shirts, must tell you about the one I'm wearing tonight. So he's getting a T-shirt made up with "Turn your back on politicians as they've turned their backs on you." I'd probably phrase that us, but anyway, that's just me. And I reckon it's a bloody great idea. He says here he's turned his back on politicians who speak at the shrine for the last 3 years now. Yep, I remember doing that too. I wholeheartedly support that. Politicians on Anzac Day, wholeheartedly inappropriate, I would have thought. But then again, right now, wholeheartedly, I would have thought inappropriate for senior military leadership to be seen in public speaking about the brave men of the World War I, Gallipoli in particular, but all our fallen, because those leaders, the current leaders of the Australian Defence Forces, are not brave. They are cowards. And everything happening with not just Ben Roberts-Smith at the moment, everything that's happening with Special Forces Tier 1 operators, as they're known, around the world, not just here in Australia, it's happening around the world. In the UK, at the moment, the SAS are resigning en masse. Now, the problem is these people are very, very highly trained, and they have signed a return of service agreement. So while they might resign now and have put in their resignations, they'll still be working until such time as their return of service is fulfilled. And even then, they can be held into the job, compelled to stay because of the level of training and investment that the government has put into them. That works with our soldiers here too. But Tier 1 soldiers, not just here in Australia, the SAS, the 2 Commando unit based out of Holsworthy. There is, of course, the SAS and the SBS in the UK, the Special Boat Service. The SAS in the UK, as I said, are registering a large number of resignations. There is a huge amount of angst about what's being done by Keir Starmer and his government. And, of course, these are the very gentlemen that would be sent into Ireland at the moment, because there is a great deal of unrest, if you want to call it that. The Irish people would say it's not unrest at all. They're fed up to the back teeth with the bastards in government, and they are taking back their republic. And they are doing so on a pretty much a daily basis. Their farmers are blocking the highways of the nation. They're driving slow and making sure that everybody knows what's going on. They are holding assemblies. I'm not going to call them protests, because these are almost like town meetings where there are tens of thousands of people turning up. Bear in mind, a lot of people living in a very small confined area. So there's a lot of people don't have to travel very far to have a big crowd. Unlike Australia, where we are spread out right across the country. We are decentralized. But in places like Ireland, that isn't the case. And it certainly looks great on TV. We need to be able to do more of that here. And I'll be intrigued to see what happens with the mob heading down to Canberra this weekend for Scott to do. Now, I've reached out to Scott Challam 4 times now. I don't think he wants anything to do with me or help or promotion or anything. And that's fine if that is the case. I'm not having a go about that. It just strikes me as strange. No stranger than going to Canberra to have an event when there aren't any politicians in town, and your website advertises the fact that even if you can't come, you can buy a $10 flag and be seen by the politicians, unquote. They may have changed that line now because it's fairly embarrassing, because there are going to be no politicians in Canberra other than maybe Pocock and that horrible piece of work from the Labor Party, Katie Gallagher. And do you really think she's going to turn up to have a look at anything anybody has to say? Not likely. Scott, and I thank him for his service as a former RAFI, and he and a bunch of people are going down to celebrate Anzac Day and the big parade that happens in front of the War Memorial. Of course, there is a new exhibit now open, and it is, funnily enough, to do with the RAAF. It's all to do with aircraft and all that kind of thing. So I would be, it would be very ingracious of me to criticizing Scott to want to go down and have a look at that and combine Anzac Day and, of course, then the next day doing a protest on the lawns in front of Parliament. It's just unfortunate there's not going to be anybody in Parliament. And it's debatable whether or not mainstream media... Scott's saying, they'll see it on mainstream media. Well, I don't know that they will see it on mainstream media. Mainstream media are not known for pushing this, although at the moment there might be some... there might be some level of interest in talking about our immigration levels, but that is only because of the numbers that I think have been released today, which are showing some pretty startling things to the nation about the intentions of the voting public going forward. This is the Ozpoll, which came out today. It puts One Nation equal with the ALP at 27% with voting intention. So this is first round picks. Who do you intend to vote for? and One Nation is now level pegging with the ALP, and both of them a clear 7% ahead of the Liberal National Party, the Greens 14%, and Independents holding 5%. Now, two-party preferred, 53% for the ALP and two-party preferred Liberal and National Party, 47%. But if they change that to two-party preferred ALP One Nation, it goes down to 52% ALP, 48% One Nation, which effectively makes them the opposition currently, even though there's only one bloke in the lower house. It goes to show that the Australian public have absolutely no faith in the Liberal National Uni Party that works hand in hand with Labor, and people like Andrew Hastie, who come out the night before extremely important votes that impinge on all our freedoms, and comes out and says, I'm not going to vote for that, I'm not going to vote for that, you can count on me. And the very next day goes ahead and votes for it with Labor. Is it any wonder that the federal voting intention, and this is the Sky News poll, shows exactly the same thing. 27% level pegging One Nation and Labor. The coalition way down at 20%, and everybody else falling behind. Only yesterday they were trying to say that Pauline Hanson and One Nation had fallen. Now, Pauline personally might have fallen a 15th of a bee's dick, but One Nation, it's pretty clear, is rolling forward and getting stronger and stronger. The next time that people will be able to demonstrate that level of support will be at the ballot box in Victoria, New South Wales, the Farrer electorate, Albury-Wodonga, and places, all up to Griffith, I think, and Narandra to the east, and from the Murray River, essentially, I think it's up to Griffith, and might even be a little further west and north from there too. It's quite a big electorate. I think it's 126,000 square kilometres, and that is a sizable electorate. I was really pleased. I didn't save the picture. I was really pleased to see Wade from Billboard Battalion, who was out for a bit of a drive in the beautiful sunshine, wearing his One Nation hat that was presented to him by the fella he hopes will be the new One Nation member for Farrer, David, whatever his name is, and personally presented to Wade, I think, which was pretty lovely. And speaking of Billboard Battalion, wonderful folks that they are, yesterday, of course, Nick headed off to this farmer's property. They did an interview. You can see it on the Billboard Battalion Facebook site. Now, there were about 20, 25 other farmers there to help with the bullshit that is going on at the moment. And currently there are, I think, 26 properties that have orders against them that will have these jack-booted, safety-vested thugs turning up at their front gates and requesting permission. Not that they need it, but they've got to do it jump through for the hoop of law with their little body cameras they're wearing. They ask for permission, they get denied, and they're currently walking away at the moment. But what they're walking away to do is prepare fines. Now, each farmer is likely to get a fine of $6,000 for refusing to allow these people onto their properties. Now, the farmers and the Farmers Fight Back group have received some advice from the Ombudsman, amongst other people, and I'm sure there are lawyers involved as well, to say, fight this, push this back, and that's exactly what they're doing. That legal advice has been forwarded to the government, and of course the government don't give a shit. It's Victoria we're talking about here. They could not care less about the laws. They've already proven that if there is a problem with the law, they'll just change it. And that's exactly what they've done to help AusNet. And this VNI West Connector Tower is, it's disgusting. And not that I would recommend you go and watch anything on free-to-air television generally, but this popped up on a feed of mine the other day, and I wound up watching the whole thing. It's a spotlight program with Liam Bartlett. I did see the interview where he took Chris Bowen, the pretend minister and fantasist in charge of climate change to task when he was in Parliament a couple of weeks ago. But this is actually the produced story, and a couple of pictures from it show, and this is in central Queensland, just some of the earthworks that are going on to put in these towers. Now, there are plans for over 31,000 more of these monstrosities going up in Australia in the near future. They're either already in the works or they're in planning to be worked on. Every one of these things has to go on top of a mountain, and every mountain has to have the top blown off it, and then they scrape back using excavators like this, everything else. And then what happens to our fauna? Well, if they come across a koala, injured or not, they have a work around for that. They don't call someone in and have it relocated. No, they are to hit it on the back of the head with something heavy and blunt. That is the work order. If you come across anything, kangaroo, koala, whatever, you're to kill it. These are big Chinese companies doing this. And a large part of the story was about the cobalt required to go into these towers. I'm more concerned, and I've never been a greenie, but I'm more concerned about them blowing the tops off mountains, flattening them out. These roads have to be 70 meters wide to allow the blades to be transported up to the sites. 70 meters wide. And of course, there are switchbacks and all sorts of things to negotiate. So that means a lot of land has to get cleared. I find this absolutely disgusting. However, our government, successive governments, not going to blame one or the other. It's clear they are a uni party and have been working as a uni party forever. They are to blame. This has to be stopped. This ransacking of our land has to be stopped, and the giveaway of our land has to stop. The resources being given away at the moment are staggering, and you got to support Punter, because he is doing, even though he's raised money, bought a lobbyist for $75,000, it's actually a bloody good thing he's done it, because he can now hold them to task. And Punter has been, I believe, Punter's Politics has been answering questions in Senate estimates this week, or asking more than answering questions, I think, and asking very, very good questions. One of them might have been about Japan. The Japanese government collects more tax from our Australian gas than the Australian government does selling it to them. That's right. New Australian Institute of Research published today shows that the Japanese government make more revenue taxing its imports of Australian gas, that's taxing its own people, than the Australian government makes from the export of our gas to Japan. Now, it is staggering to even the most basic mind to understand that the Australian government hasn't figured that out. Or maybe they aren't that stupid. Maybe they have figured that out and they just don't care. They've proved, successive governments have proved, they don't care. The bottom line is profit. The bottom line is money. The bottom line is greed. We the people mean nothing. We are the slaves. We are the batteries to their new system. And it doesn't matter if your battery goes flat. It doesn't matter if they inject millions of batteries with a poison and they all go flat a lot sooner than expected. It doesn't matter. They don't care. So events like this one this weekend, I would be all for, if there was somebody in Canberra to see it, but there's not. sadly. So, but I do wish everybody, if you are going down, I believe everybody is meeting at the BP on the southern end of Brisbane. I want to say it's at Beenleigh, and they're meeting about 5 a.m., I think, Friday morning, and we'll be heading down to Canberra. That's a pretty good, solid drive, 14 hours. Yeah, 14, 15 hours. You'll stop for fuel a couple of times. So you'll get into Canberra pretty late Friday night if you drive all the way through. Otherwise, you'll probably camp overnight somewhere and try and get there before the service at, well, I don't know if it's dawn. They usually have a 10 a.m. service, I think, at the Shrine of Remembrance in Canberra, which is outside the War Memorial. So good luck on the drive. Be safe. Don't do anything silly. But, yeah, 5 o'clock, I believe, at the big BP there at Beenleigh for a head off to camp for the big meet and parade this weekend. And good luck to everybody who's going. I wouldn't mind being there for the Australia Day, I beg your pardon, for the Anzac Day celebration, and then going through and checking out that new part of the War Museum that's opened up. I do understand wholeheartedly why some would want to go and check that out. Not only do they have an F-111 in there, very close to my heart, they've also got an F-18 in there and a few other bits and pieces, a couple of aircraft, a couple of helicopters. Really cool stuff. So it's a pity that going in there sometimes makes some of us feel a bit sick, but that's unfortunate, just how it sort of goes. So back to the farmers for a minute. Now, tomorrow there will be 3 more property, well, hard to call them invasions, but the V&I West folks will turn up at 2 properties tomorrow, owned by the same people, but they're going to view them at separate times. So the first one will be at 8:30 tomorrow morning, and I think the second one is at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. Now, Tony, who may or may not be in the chat tonight because he's with Nick from Billboard Battalion, so they might have decided to go to the pub and have a meal or something rather than be in the show tonight. But they will be travelling in the Billboard Battalion bus tomorrow, and will be part of both of those events happening tomorrow at properties between sort of Bort and Witcherproof. That's the area they're in at the moment, but these buggers are going to be moving south, have no fear. We're going to be doing a live stream at this stage. The plan is to do a live stream from about maybe 8:15, 8:20 tomorrow morning. Tony will be on site using Billboard Battalion's Starlink, thank God. We will either dual stream and send our signal to Billboard Battalion, or they will be doing a separate stream to their own channels. We'll figure it out whichever way it works tomorrow. Nick is going to be there. Wade, unfortunately, can't be there. It's probably not good for Wade to be traveling. It's a big day. Traveling around in the bus. So, but they did make the decision together with Wade that that they would take the bus out. It's great to be seen. It's also handy to block the road a bit. And thank Wade and Nick very much for allowing Tony to jump a lift on the bus and for providing him a bed tonight. So it's a bit of a drive out of Melbourne to where everybody's going. So it's great that he can catch up with the guys from Billboard Battalion. And tomorrow we present a united front. So we will have another show tomorrow morning from about 8:15. I can't imagine it will go terribly long. We will just show what happens at the gates. And there's obviously a lot of local support, a lot of people from the local area, farmers turning up at that gate. So we look forward to bringing that to you tomorrow morning. Kash Patel is making all sorts of noises at the moment. Now, a lot of people have been screaming that Kash Patel should be removed from office. He's saying he's not going anywhere until the president tells him to. He serves at the president's pleasure and he has no intention of going anywhere. And yes, there will be fraud arrests coming over the 2020 election fraud. Now, this is a super involved fraud that I think has been now tracked and laid out, and the prosecutors have discovered the myriad ways in which they were able to jimmy the vote in various different ways, fraudulent ways, that now they can confidently bring forward prosecutions and expect some pretty big convictions, some very, very big convictions. Bear in mind that the first conviction will create a precedent, and it will only then be the scale of the crime that really has to get argued about. The punishment for interfering with an election is the same, regardless if you only did a little bit or you did a lot. And it's a very effective punishment. I don't know. I have hope. I believe that we have to have some finality to the 2020 elections. I know many people think that Trump lost and that's just the way it was, but can be very assured that isn't the case. And they are going to prove it. I wish they would throw the same amount, and I'm sure somebody is, the same amount of effort into bringing those to account for the jab, because a new study, and there are new studies coming out on a daily basis, peer-reviewed studies from highly renowned physicians and academics that are saying myocarditis is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to things that have been instigated into the human body after people have been jabbed. Today alone, I've heard of 2 people who had been in cancer remission for years. One of them for 6 or 7 years, the other one for over 10. One of them is 3 times jab, the other is 4 times jab. And lo and behold, the cancer in the person that has had 10, 12 years remission, the cancer has returned in such a fashion that this person will be dead within 4 weeks. That's all the doctors can give them. And obviously, when the doctors tell people this, it has an effect on them, particularly these people who tend to believe everything that comes out of a doctor's friggin' mouth. And of course, the light goes off then. They switch it off. They're basically checked out and they're waiting to die. And they talk themselves into it as much as anything else. It's terribly sad. And we know that these boosters are in part responsible for it. The paperwork says so. The people that did this have to be brought to account on a global scale. We all know someone who has taken the bait, taken the poison, and now is a sickly type. There's always something wrong with them. A friend of mine came out the other day and we were talking about arthritis. Arthritis has kicked off just since the jab, but it's really bad and getting worse. Thankfully, the X39 patches do work on most people with a bit of arthritis issues. Doesn't matter which kind of arthritis you have. I found that in most cases, the X39 patches make a difference for arthritis sufferers. So if you haven't tried them, give them a try. The X39 patches, and I'll put the little link up here, which is on a banner here somewhere, I'm pretty sure. There you go. You can follow that link and look, you don't have to sign up to anything long term. You can buy 1 packet of patches and try it for a month. But I urge you to try it for a month, and I urge you to drink as little as possible during that month, or at least while you are wearing the patches, because alcohol is a sterilant. It sterilizes everything. And when it's in your bloodstream, it cleans out the good stuff as well. So if you're going to wear an X39 patch and then drink half a dozen stubbies at night or have 3 bottles of wine, it's not going to work. All right. And then you're going to ring me and tell me, oh, Carl, it didn't work for me. So give yourself the best chance at having these things ease your pain. And I know for many people, they've been self-medicating for I don't know how many years, and they've found that alcohol does help. And this is a very hard thing to just switch off and say, oh, well, I'm going to, try the patches. But it's the only way you will know for sure if they work for you, rather than just saying, oh, yeah, they're too expensive and they never worked, which is something I hear a lot of. But when I delve into it a bit and ask a few questions, over predominantly the answer of, oh, yes, I drink, more than 2 or 3 glasses of alcohol a day. And I sort of know then that there is no chance that the patches are going to do any good. So thank you, Donna. Try weed instead. Yep. It has a lot of success, particularly for Parkinson's sufferers. Drink double the water. Yes, absolutely. And try and put half the vodka in the water. That's my thought too. Lady Ryder is in the house. Angie, yeah, can't wait. Yeah, I want to see justice done to these people so badly. I'm fortunate in that nobody particularly close in my immediate family is suffering badly. Interestingly, those that have been jabbed outside my mum always seem to have something wrong with them, whether it's a sniffle or a cold or a cough or a wheeze or a something. But mum's got a sore shoulder. It sort of impinges on playing golf a little bit, but at 90 years of age, you're allowed to have a sore shoulder, especially when you do some of the things that she does. But anyway, listen, mate, you're going to need to get that under control, because we can't have you doing that on board the ship. What happens if you drown? We can't have you drowning on board. That would be very bad. Weed in the bed. Oh, God. Well, maybe you can get the harmonica out and write a little tune to that. We'll make up some words, and that'll be something we can sing along the way. All right, let's get back into what's going on in the world here tonight. I meant to tell you about this one last night. Hickeys are now dangerous, and this is apparently also related to the jab. Hickeys, of course, for those of you who may not be aware, are a love bite, particularly found in a certain age group, somewhere between 14 and, well, most people are over it by the time they're 20, but there are usually the occasional the occasional types who will drag that through into their mid-20s and show that off quite proudly at the supermarket or in the queue for the dole every fortnight. However, I think it's just a sign of insecurity. It just says, oh, look, somebody loves me. They do this to me. But apparently that can now kill you, because what you're doing is you're sucking up a whole heap of blood. You're creating blood clots, and we all know how well the whole thing reacts with blood clots. And you're doing so very near to your brain and, of course, the major arteries that run up to your brain. So if you get sucked upon on the wrong side, they suck a little harder, do a little more damage. It is very highly probable that damage will travel into your brain and give you an aneurysm, or at least a conniption, which is likely to alter your life rather significantly in the immediate future, and possibly in the long term as well. So if ever you needed to get your kids scared of hickeys, now would be the time, just between you, me, and the Gay Post. Now, you might have heard about this horrendous thing that happened in Melbourne over the weekend. Police in Victoria won't release the name of the person who ran down and killed a patron at the Comic-Con, or the Supernova event that happened in Melbourne the other day. There is a picture of that bloke there. That's as close as the media were allowed to get. I blew it up a little closer. Do you find it strange that the media are protecting that bastard who drove a car at speed into a crowd of people, killing one, doing damage to many, many others. And yet the media were very proud and very pleased and quite privileged to be able to present the arrest of Ben Roberts-Smith almost live on air as it happened on a tarmac, airside, Brisbane, Kingsford Smith Airport, or Mascot, whichever one it is. And there was no way they were hiding who it was. Whereas this piece of shit that came in off some friggin' Labor-induced immigration plan has decided to drive a car through a bunch of people at a supernova gig. It's like a comic convention, you know? These people get dressed up in fantasy characters and go and have a bloody great time, as far as I can tell. You know, the furries may have a better time than some of the other ones. But anyway, it's the story. That piece of filth gets protected. Ben Roberts-Smith is hung out to dry. Now, I don't know if the Victorian police have released his name's out yet. Got no idea. But it'll be something like that. And frankly, this is the kind of bloke that you want to put into general population. Unfortunately, in general population these days, there's probably more of his countrymen. Did I hear that they're arresting British SAS? I haven't heard that they're arresting them. I don't know that they have to arrest them. Most of the British SAS have resigned. Whether or not you would trust them to be sent on operations now, that's a whole other ballgame. Because, as we said at the start of the show, they're hunting down special forces worldwide and dismantling them. Keir Starmer and his bunch of pathetic individuals running the UK are doing a brilliant job of it, just like Albo Sleazy and the moronic Penny Wong, who we think has 3 passports. Are you aware? We believe she has Australian, Malaysian, and Chinese citizenship. How is it possible? Didn't we have this big battle some years ago about politicians having dual citizenship, let alone 3? And wasn't it sorted out to the end that said, well, no, you can only be an Australian citizen. You can't have dual nationality citizenship. You can't be allegiant to 2 masters, is what that says. And now we're meant to believe that Penny Wong is looking after Australian interests. Now, I don't know for sure if that is the case. It has been alleged by others, but I would like to find out if that is the case. And I would like to see whether or not that can't be prosecuted further. I know that there are others who hold dual citizenship in the Labor side of things. There may be some in the Liberal, because they are a uni party after all. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to find that there's potentially 1 or 2 in One Nation. Does it make any difference? I don't know. But it certainly would make me feel a bit better if only people with Australian nationality and allegiance to Australia were allowed to be in our parliament. Not that pathetic piece of Pakistani fuckuri or whatever her name is. Fuck Gussie, fuck her. Oh, she's fuck Gussie, that's all right. Anyway, that's another story. Speaking of Ben Roberts-Smith, here's a photo that the mainstream media will not show you. That fella on the right carrying an officer out of the battlefield is Ben Roberts-Smith. The officer hasn't been named, but he was shot in an operation, and you can see that operation actually still going on in the background there. And Ben Roberts-Smith carrying that officer out to safety to be evac'd and get home. Hopefully he survived. I wonder if that officer is backing Ben Roberts-Smith today. Because there has been a story, you know, there's 21 former officers or former SAS have come out and said bad things about Ben. No, they were compelled to speak to the Brereton inquiry. They had coercive powers. They made them speak. It's unfortunate that anything said by anybody under that sort of coercive pressure is inadmissible in one of our criminal courts. Now, that's their court rules. That's not some common law fantasy. That's not some common law whim or wish. That is one of their rules. So how are these 21 witnesses, of which there are 4 that came forward and were usable, if you like, in the defamation trial? Usable. Don't get me started. But those same 4 may not be usable in the criminal trial. And even if they do come forward and want to whine and tell their story, and it is a whining story from all accounts, it's a woe is me, and why didn't I get the VC? Why didn't I get a VC too? Is particularly prominent story from one of these former SAS operators. There is a story going around that one of the complainant's wives turned up at an SAS barbecue and took on a SAS sergeant saying, "Why didn't my husband get a VC?" Now, without knowing the full circumstances and everything, but generally, to get a VC, you have to be first over the wall. You have to be first ready to sacrifice yourself so that others can climb over your corpse to keep the fight going. And from the telling of the stories of the actions surrounding this particular witness and Ben Robert Smith, it seems that this particular witness wasn't first over the wall at all. In fact, he was pretty useless. And the team that he was part of didn't really trust him. He's a nice enough bloke, but they didn't trust him to be able to do the job. And that's sometimes something you only find out when you're at the pointy end of the spear and you've got to do the job. While you've trained for it and you've been accepted into this elite unit and you've talked about doing it, when it actually comes to the point where you've got to point your gun at another human being and shoot them dead, sometimes people can't do it or they hesitate. And that hesitation is enough to get them killed and maybe another one of their mates beside them. And so when these tier 1 operators see that hesitation in one of their team members, they usually move that team member aside. They usually move them out into another group, not a tier 1 operating group. Or if they do go to a tier 1 operating group, they go to somebody else's because they don't trust them. And that is exactly the case with this guy. Number 4, I think, was the number he was given, and it gets referred to, or person X, I think he's referred to in other cases. Now, I'm not saying the bloke is a coward by any stretch of the imagination. I believe that every member of the SAS is a hero, all right? Particularly the guys that go outside the wire. Not so much the ones that stay inside, but the ones that go outside the wire. Every one of them is a hero, whether they get a medal for it or not. Some of them have demonstrated more through circumstance than anything else that they are brave men through and through. Others have demonstrated that while still extremely brave men, they have failed at critical moments that made them second or third over the wall, by which time the bloke who won the VC has cleaned up one machine gun nest, is well on his way to cleaning up a second one, and in conjunction with one other person goes through and cleans out an entire compound. It seems like a reasonable story to me. I don't know why this bloke didn't get a VC, but a VC is the hardest medal to earn in Australia. It's given to our bravest. And I've got to say, in my lifetime, I've seen more of them awarded in my lifetime to blokes like Donaldson and Robert Smith, who are still alive. Most of the VCs before my life were awarded posthumously for huge acts of valor that wound up with these blokes being killed in action. We're lucky. You know, we've had one through Vietnam, Ted Kenner, and now we've got quite a few walking around, and hopefully we'll be seeing this Anzac Day. Thank you all for your service. I wish you all could have a VC. We, the people, should be allowed to award you our medal. But unfortunately, getting a medal in the Defence Forces is not just a matter of how brave you are. There's a lot of politics that goes on behind it. And if you don't know how to play the politics, you're probably not going to get the medal. But if you whinge about it, not only will you not get a medal, you will lose something much worse and something worth much more. You will lose the respect of the men you fought with and maybe were moved on from, but they still respected you. But after this, not so much. The Australian SAS, the Australian Tier 1 forces, are working pretty hard at the moment. There are obviously multiple plans in place should the Australian government be tasked with having to go to war with Iran. And you can be sure that the SAS will play a role in that. But right now, I know that there are conversations happening in Australia, in the UK, in Ireland, and in America, where Tier 1 operators are simply saying they are not going to go to war for these crazy politicians and for the cowardice leaders that are now allowing lawfare to chase down some of our greatest heroes years and years after events. And I stand with them 100% every bit of the way. So watch this space and hope that the Australian media starts showing you more pictures of Ben Roberts-Smith doing what he did best. And clearly here, it was saving Australian lives on the ground in Afghanistan as much as back home here in Australia. Now then, the NDIS. Yes, the IRGC members in our country. Yes, we have. Yeah, we got. I'm sure that's what ASIO are meant to be looking at. Instead, they're bugging phones like ours and wondering what we're going to do and what trouble we're going to cause. We're not going to cause any friggin' trouble at all. We're not the ones who are going to go and create this kind of mass hysteria, or worse still, drive a car through a group of people and kill them. I mean, what would happen if the boot were on the other foot? If a white fella had driven through a bunch of, I don't know, Sudanese people walking down the road, would he been afforded a long shot and no identification? Or would his name and face now be plastered across every mainstream media outlet in the country, with him being vilified as some kind of racist maniac who drove over a bunch of black people? Sorry, sad, hard done by black people who came here from some shithole in Africa and have been eking out a living by, eating rice and onions while trying to get a job in a state that doesn't employ anybody anymore unless you have machete collection skills. I know. I would be guaranteed that the white person would be paraded in front of the cameras and berated and sent to jail for a very, 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 very long time. I doubt this bloke even has a current license. I'd be very friggin' surprised. Or maybe not. What time is it? Oh, look, we've got 9 minutes. I'm going to probably finish a little bit early tonight. I do want to show you my shirt. So they burnt our flag, is what that says. I can show you a better look of it. I'm the model. Now, I'm very chuffed with this shirt. It came special. It has been hand designed. I'm going to show you the back in a minute. It has been hand designed by one of our very, very strong family members, One Eye, or Skipper Pete, as I like to refer to him. And it is based in part loosely around the T-shirts that Vince and I got and put together about a couple of months ago when there were protests happening and our Australian flag was being burnt. So One Eye decided that he was going to go off and get his own shirt designed, and he's had a couple made up, sent down to me, and I'm sending one to Vince as well. They burnt our flag, and on the back, at least we put theirs out. You get the idea. I want to congratulate the artist, who is an Ingham resident, and the printer in Ingham who put it all together. The shirts are really high quality, and if you would like a one-eye shirt, they burned our flag, but hey, at least we put theirs out. If we set it on fire, we can probably arrange you that. Now, this is a very big shirt. It's big on me. It's a 3X shirt, so I think they go up to something like 5X, but I can help you out with that. They're not at our merch site, though, so you'll have to contact me to hook that up. If you want one of our hoodies, being that we're coming into wintertime, and it is getting chilly down south at the moment, and it's getting chilly here. I think a few days ago, it was like 7 degrees when I woke up. It was very chilly indeed. So if you would like to check out our merch, you can go to merch.vofhq.com and click on the shop and have a look at some of the new designs that we've got in there. If you're a cup or mug collector and you like to have interesting words that start conversations around the coffee machine, then I highly recommend one of... We have 4 or 5 Kakistocracy versions of a cup. And then we have the Quokka Wodgers, and then we have, you can go and check it out yourself. And like I say, the hoodies look bloody great. We have a new hoodie provider, but we are told that they are very thick, very warm. And the colors, we've limited the colors, I think, this time to... there's a really nice sort of gunmetal-y grey, except it's not called gunmetal grey, it's called some other grey. A navy blue, a black, and there might be a white one in there. Look at this. Vincenzo is hiding in the background. Bring it all up. So there you go. You can check it out there, merch.vofhq.com/shop. It's on the second page. And the new hoodies, very nice. So there is 2 versions of the hoodies. There's one that's got the big VOF on the back and a little FBN media on the front. And then there is the mirror of that with the big FBN on the back and the little Voice of Freedom on the front. So if you are interested, we would be very, very happy to help you stay warm and get branded this winter. And here, a few mugs in there too. And, of course, T-shirts, which we will need to... That's our version. You burn it, we'll wear it. And, of course, there's a bit less piddling on our shirt. But, Far North Queensland shirts being Far North Queensland. It is what it is. And I can't thank One Eye enough for the time and effort that he's put into it. He's a friggin' legend of a human being, One Eye. I can't wait to go up and see him. Speaking of going up north or coming down south, Vincenzo is hiding in the background. I'm going to bring him in quickly. Hello, buddy. How are you? Now it's not Friday, so don't wear your wave out. You're getting in a bit early. Very quickly, we'll touch on our lottery. $2 a ticket. You can't buy a ticket if you're in Victoria, but we'll let you buy one if you're practically anywhere else. It's only $2, and the proceeds, once we get rid of the remaining tickets, we will share with the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. That's Sandy and her crew down there, and we like to try and help buy the odd bale of hay or get a toe cleaned for a donkey or get a tooth cleaned, whichever way it works. So, yeah, very happy if you would be able to support us there by buying a $2 ticket and helping us get rid of this lottery. We can't just stop it, unfortunately. We have to sell all the tickets before we can end it. And yes, like I said last night, we've got other prizes that we want to start giving away, including a 5-ounce bar that's been donated by one of you, and a couple of grams. I think we've still got 3 grams of gold we're going to give away. So, yeah, there's a few different bits and pieces in the background, but we cannot do it until we can close this lottery off. So if you are outside of Victoria and you haven't spent $20 yet, please buy $20 worth of tickets at our website, merch.vofhq.com /product sanctuary 750 link. You'll find it there. It will all be a stunningly beautiful thing. Now, Vincenzo, what was I bringing you on to talk about? No, I can't hear you. So that's not working. He's got a finger.
Right, can you hear me now?
There you go. Fingered your microphone appropriately. Very well done.
What I was going to say was I will remove the restriction of the $20 on the tickets for this lottery.
Oh, okay.
Right, so there won't be a restriction. People can purchase as many as they wish. Obviously, most of our people are from Victoria. So, like everything good in Victoria, yeah. Well, sorry. Is there anything good in Victoria?
There's some very good people in Victoria.
Oh, yeah, there is. I'll give it that. Okay, that's the only thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But
yeah, they deserve all our love and support. Very good people.
They do indeed. And if they're smart, they'll take both the Labor governments and piss them off in this next election. Anyway.
I hope so too. I've remembered what I wanted to ask you about. Now, we haven't discussed it, and I don't know if I'm going to be told we're not discussing it or I'm not allowed to know just yet. But for the purposes of making plans, because I am being asked, when are you getting back on the road and where are you going? And I say to people, well, I can get on the road after we've done the cruise, and I think I might go north, head up, see Skipper Pete in Ingham and a few other friends that we will make, I hope, in Airlie Beach and Bowen and Townsville and places in between. There's some folks in Rockhampton and Yeppoon that I want to be able to catch back up with. The common law groups up there, the 2 Deses, great to catch up with the Desies. And very keen to go and do that. Now, this is the time of year where heading north is a lot nicer than heading south. Where I would, of course, call into some fabulous folks in Goulburn, and then some fabulous folks along the Murray, and then some fabulous folks in Melbourne, and more fabulous folks in Bacchus Marsh, which is getting terribly close to Ballarat, which is about as cold as I ever want to get. And then, of course, I have a daughter who's moved to the second coldest place on earth. That'd be Hamilton, or just outside of. And I'd like to go and see her at some stage. But then I haven't put my new headlights in yet. And you went to such trouble to find these headlights and get them imported from America that I feel it would be remiss of me to put them in without you, Vince, being there.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who rewired the whole system, so probably should be me there, to be honest.
Yeah, there is an element of that involved in my logic as well. So they are very neatly packed at the moment and ready to be hauled out when I get close to you. So then if I'm getting to Mannum, then we obviously want to get up to Waynos. So
Yep.
Wilmington is, well north of Adelaide, 4.5, 5 hours north of Adelaide. And it's in the foot of the Flinders Ranges. And it is a place we'd go and stay, maybe more than 1 or 2 days at. We might spend a week, spend however long you want there. I'm sure Wayne would love to have you. But I know I'd like to go and spend a little bit of time there and have a bit of a look around. I've never been to that part of the world, other than driving through it very briefly in a tow truck many years ago as it was going to Perth. So I'm very keen to have a bit of a look at that sort of area. And clearly, the better time of the year to go into the dead heart of Australia is this sort of time of year too that we're coming into now. Winter in the middle of Australia, while it can be very cold at night, is not likely to be sleeting rain and snow and shit like you'd get in Victoria. So what sort of plans do you have in the background, or am I not allowed to know?
No, I'm fine. I don't like to travel that far from home, especially if it's cross water. We already know that saga. So, but this is across land. It's in my state. I have got no plans at this stage other than to keep living.
Good. Well, I think that there is a few people coming from Victoria who have caravans and things, and I think there might be 1 or 2 in South Australia that have camper vans who think that they might make a little convoy once we get on the road. And if we want to do that, then, and that's something you would like to be part of, folks, then maybe we need to get a little list together with an idea of when's a good time for you guys to travel, with a view to going to Wilmington, or if you want to go north to far north Queensland, we might be able to hook up. I know Lynn and her traveling partner are on the road already. Hopefully there'll be an opportunity for me to catch up with them along the road there somewhere. We've got Harm is still on the road, though I think he's down around Sydney at the moment. Can I please investigate why, as of 2 days ago, Morna Herb has been banned? Moringa herb has been banned. I can try and find that out, MKD girl. Why would they do that? Oh, don't tell me it's another ivermectin.
Yeah, probably.
Which interestingly has started winning awards for the amount of things it's clearing out of people's systems at the moment. How sick. Anyway, I think I've covered everything I was going to cover tonight, and you've popped in, given an early wave.
Yeah, and a little reminder that if anybody's interested, in case you didn't, because I missed the first half of the show, I did a interview with One Nation members on last Saturday at their barbecue, and that's up on the FBN Media if you wish to have a look at that. And there's a little bit of exclusive that was given to us from Carlos Quambera, if I can get his last name right, that you can have a look at as well. But you'll have to make it right to the end to find out that one.
Did you share your sausage with Corey Bernardi?
No, I had another little mishap with the sausage. We won't talk about that. But Corey Bernardi, man, he is a tall person. I'm sitting there and I went, okay, went to do the interview and it was like, camera up here.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well,
so
let's hope that for a big man, he can make a big difference in South Australia.
Well, I believe they all will, as best as they can, considering they can only raise voice resistance. They have no power unless they get, well, if you have listen to the last part of my interview, there's something that's really important there in the upper house about who sits in the president's seat. So have a listen. Yeah, and I'm going to keep everybody curious now.
Say goodbye. He waves. And that's it for me too. Have yourself a bloody good night, folks. Thank you for joining us again. What that is, I think, still sitting up watching the show right now, but very shortly we'll be giving his 4th concert for the day on mouth organ, harmonica. Yeah, he's giving concerts in the ward. And I thought I might just leave you tonight with a picture of the strength of the Victorian police force as it goes hunting for bad guys. Now, back when I lived in Victoria, there used to be height restrictions. You had to be 6 foot or 5'11" to get into the police force. Now, clearly, you don't even have to be Australian to get into the police force these days. I mean, that's quite clear, isn't it?
Good lad.
Yeah, go for it. Fuck it. Yeah.
But my question about is he allowed to ride in a police car, or has he got to get a booster seat? Are we making those sorts of concessions? And if so, does he pay for his own booster seat, or is that something that the people have to pay for because we decided to employ a midget as a police officer? It goes to show, folks, that not all the dickheads are on the roads. There are a considerable number of them in charge of employing police.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!